Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving deep into one of India's most tragic and honestly baffling cases. We're talking about a double murder inside a locked apartment, a case that has kept an entire nation searching for answers for more than a decade now. I mean, think about that for a second. That single question is right at the very heart of the Noida double murder case. It's a total puzzle that kicked off on what seemed like a completely normal morning. But a discovery was made that would just unravel a family and leave investigators stumped for years.
Okay, so let's set the scene. We're going back to May of 2008 to what seemed like a totally ordinary apartment in Noida. But inside, a crime was about to unfold that, well, it just seemed to defy all logic.
So, here's what happened. On the morning of May 16th, 14-year-old Aarushi Talwar, she's found dead in her bedroom. Right away, everyone's looking for the family's missing domestic help, Hemraj. He's the prime suspect. But then, just 24 hours later, the whole case gets flipped completely on its head. They find Hemraj's body on the terrace. And just like that, this isn't a simple manhunt anymore. It's now an impossible double murder mystery.
And the crime scene itself? Well, it was a complete maze of contradictions. First off, no signs of a break-in, which, that points to an inside job. But, and this is the crazy part, the terrace door was locked from the inside. I mean, how does a killer even do that? How do you escape? And on top of all that, both victims were killed in this chillingly similar way. To make matters so much worse, the crime scene was heavily contaminated almost right away, destroying who knows what kind of crucial evidence before the investigation could even really get started.
So, as you can imagine, that chaos from the crime scene, it spilled right over into the investigation. Almost immediately, theories started clashing, and the focus of the police just swung wildly between two totally different sets of suspects.
All right, so you had two competing theories pop up pretty fast. Theory number one zeroed in on Arushi's parents, Rajesh and Nupur Talwar. This was based on that legal idea of the last seen principle. Basically, the last people with the victim are your primary suspects. Soon enough, the police and the media started floating this motive of an honor killing. But then used theory number two, which pointed in a completely different direction. This one focused on Hemraj's friends and other workers, suggesting, maybe a dispute among the staff turned violent.
Now, with all this public pressure mounting, the investigation took some really controversial turns. Get this, Arushi's father was arrested just 1 week after her murder. And in what really feels like a desperate search for a breakthrough, investigators started using these highly debated techniques. We're talking lie detector tests and this thing called narco-analysis. It's basically a truth serum test. They inject subjects with a drug to lower their inhibitions. The thing is, these methods are widely considered unreliable, and you can't even use them as evidence in a lot of courts.
Okay, so you've got this tangled mess of theories and some pretty questionable evidence. The big question is, how did it all hold up in court?
And this is absolutely crucial to understand. The entire case against the Talwars was built on what's called circumstantial evidence. There was no eyewitness, no confession, they never found the murder weapon, so the prosecution literally had to build this chain of if-then statements, these inferences, and just hope that every single link in that chain would be strong enough to get a conviction. And what followed was a total legal roller coaster. First, in 2013, a lower court decided that, the circumstantial evidence was compelling enough. They found Rajesh and Nupur Talwar guilty and sentenced them to life in prison. But then, fast forward 4 years to 2017, the Allahabad High Court takes a look and completely disagrees. They overturn the conviction, saying that the chain of evidence was just too weak. And believe it or not, the story still isn't over. The CBI has appealed that acquittal, and the case is now sitting with the Supreme Court. And really, the High Court's entire decision boils down to this one line from their judgment. See, the legal standard for a conviction is proof beyond a reasonable doubt. And the court basically said that the CBI's story, their chain of events, it just had too many holes, too many assumptions, and not enough solid evidence to clear that incredibly high bar. So, here we are, after all these years of headlines, investigations, and trials, we're left with way more questions and answers. So why? Why does this particular case continue to haunt so many of us? Well, it's really a perfect storm, isn't it? The case is just unforgettable because it has all these powerful elements smashed together. You've got this unimaginable human tragedy at the center of it all. Then you wrap it in this classic, irresistible, locked room mystery puzzle.
And then you throw in an intense trial by media where speculation just ran wild, often way ahead of the actual facts. And underneath it all is this chilling realization of a failed system, a totally botched investigation that might have destroyed any hope of finding the real truth right from the very beginning.
And it leaves us with these huge, fundamental questions that are still hanging in the air. For starters, what was the murder weapon? A golf club was suspected, sure, but nothing was ever proven or found. We just don't know.
And then there's the big one, the most critical, completely unexplained detail of the whole crime scene. That terrace door, the one where they found Hemraj's body, was locked from the inside. So who locked it? And how in the world did they get out? It's a physical impossibility that just doesn't have a simple answer.
Which brings us to the final, haunting question. With all the evidence contaminated, with theories debunked, and with so much time gone by, is a real, conclusive answer even possible anymore? Or are the murders of Aarushi Talwar and Hemraj Banjare destined to forever remain one of India's most painful and most profound unsolved mysteries?